I've given you a copy of a circle centered at the origin with a radius of 1. It has the equation x squared plus y squared equals 1. This is called the unit circle because its radius is 1 unit long. Now if I were to go on this xy axis and do a rotation from standard position along my circle and stop right there, I just rotated some number of degrees. I'll call it theta. And then we'll draw our nice little right triangle here down to the x-axis, back over to the origin. Notice that the hypotenuse of my right triangle is how long? 1, because it's the radius of my circle. So along this triangle, along the x-axis, I've moved some distance x, and then to get up to the point where my terminal side hits the circle, I have went up some distance y. So my triangle is essentially x, y, and 1 is the hypotenuse. So when we go and do some trig on this triangle, let's start with cos. Cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. So in this triangle, my adjacent is x and my hypotenuse is 1. Notice x divided by 1 is just x. So that tells me that this distance along the x-axis that I have moved is actually the cos of my number of degrees that I rotated. Likewise, when we go and do sine theta, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite on this triangle is y. The hypotenuse is 1. Y divided by 1 makes y. And that tells me that my distance y that I am on my triangle here is actually the sine of however many degrees that I rotated. So that makes this point of intersection between the terminal side and the circle, point xy, also known as point cosine sine. The cos is first and the sine is second in an ordered pair. Now let's put this in terms you might relate to here. I've got another unit circle drawn. I am going to rotate some amount of degrees. I'm going to rotate 200 degrees. So here's my reference angle. Here's my right triangle. And the xy, or the coordinates of this point right here, should be the cos of my angle, which I rotated 200, comma, the sine of my angle, 200. So I'm just going to take my calculator and hit cos 200. There's my x value, negative 0.9397. That is how far I have gone this way. Notice it is negative because we had to move left to get into the second and the third quadrants. And then my sine value is going to be this. And I'll get that off my calculator as well. Sine of 200, negative 0.342. So the coordinates of this point of intersection of the terminal side and the circle is negative 0.9397, comma, negative 3.42. So any point along the unit circle is going to be a combination of the cos of the angle that you rotated and the sin of the angle that you rotated.